the Wealth Coach, and welcome to the first episode of the Wealth Shift podcast. And on this podcast, I'm going to come in and talk about my personal stories about the stock market, what's going on in the stock market, give you some wealth tips, and an action item for you to do each week. Now, I started this podcast, well, I tried to start many podcasts before, and it was very challenging for me, especially going live because talking to a camera just feels very weird for me, and I'm unsure what to do. So I decided today that I'm not going to let fear stop me, and I'm going to walk or work within, just get on camera and just talk. So don't mind the background. This is just the temporary setup. And if someone comes on and watches this, thank you for supporting me. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and make sure to lock in. So I'm going to drop an episode every Monday before 12 o'clock, giving you the updates on what's happening in the stock market. So I am a father of four, and sometimes my kids may or may not come into the shot, but hey, that's life, right? Sometimes you just got to roll with the punches. So how my journey began with helping people build wealth is I was working a 9 to 5 job, and one day they called me into the office and said, Dean, and a few other people, they said, we don't need your department anymore. And they let me go. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And it's kind of funny because when they let go of my department, they were letting go a lot of people. And maybe a couple months after, a big publicly traded company bought them. And now that I think about it, it's like, maybe they were gearing up to actually sell the company before. And the easiest way to make your books look better is to cut employees, because that's like one of the biggest expenses people have on their books. So they got rid of my department. And this was 2014 or 2012, I think. 2012. After that day, I said, you know what? I'm never going to work for somebody again. Like, nope, not doing it. Got rid of looking for jobs, and I started my own business. I started with selling cars, car rentals, and learned a lot through just starting those businesses. And when the pandemic hit, my businesses shut down, and then I switched what I was doing, and I got into teaching people about money, financial literacy. I wrote a book called Don't Be a Waste, The Financial Literacy Guide, and yes, that is the title of the book. And I've been running or hitting the ground since, just teaching people about money. And I've been taking a real keen interest into the stock market. And that started back in about 2014 or 2014 or 2008. I can't remember. It's been so long. And I didn't have somebody to teach me, so I had to literally teach myself about the stock market. There was some times, or there was times where it was a perfect time to buy, and I didn't buy because I didn't understand how it worked. Like when the stock market crashed, I panicked, and I didn't even have money in it. I said to myself, shoot, if the stock market can do this, it can probably do it again. But I wasn't thinking do it again as in that's a perfect time for you to buy. I looked at it as like, oh my God, I can lose a lot of money. And a lot of people think that way, right? But the people that are consistently putting money into the stock market, when they see things like that happen, guess what they do? They buy more shares. They don't sell. They wait till it gets high and then they sell. So you got to start changing the way your mind thinks when it comes to the stock market. The stock market's not a bad thing. The longer you can hold a stock, the more valuable it becomes over time. Granted that it's actually a strong company. And also, this is not financial advice. This is just for entertainment purposes only. Always do your research. So going back to what I was saying, the longer you can hold a stock, the better. And I heard something very crazy, like through my journey of learning about stocks. You don't sell stocks. The only time you sell stocks is when the story changes. For example, if Apple stopped making cell phones and they started doing fashion, their story changes. Now you say to yourself, maybe Apple is not a company I want to own anymore. And now you get out of it. So that's something for you to think about. When you buy stocks, you want to buy and hold forever. That's the easiest strategy that you can do. And make sure that it's a quality company. Research the company. And you're probably saying, how do I research? Throughout these episodes, I'm going to teach you little things that you can do uh, each week to make yourself a better investor. So, how to buy stocks, how to research stocks, how to create a watch list or a portfolio of stocks. All these things I'm going to be talking about. Here and there, I'm going to have guests come on and discuss wealth, the stock market, and just entertain you guys. Now, with recent news, I'm going to talk about is, or that's like going crazy right now, is this whole thing with Netflix buying Warner Brothers. And Paramount is pissed because they were setting up to buy Warner Brothers months ago, or last month when I heard it. And there's just been so much talk about it. And usually when you hear a merger like that, stocks usually shoot up. But in this case, Netflix went down. And the whole reason that it went down is because Netflix borrowed money to actually buy or to put that bid in for Warner Brothers. And investors don't like that because if you're borrowing money, that's less money for them that you're going to put in their pocket. So you want to keep that in mind when people borrow money to buy other companies. But it could be a good thing, right? Like Elon did that. He borrowed against his shares and then purchased Twitter. And that was like one of his best decisions, or one of the best things that could happen for him, because now he borrowed money instead of cashing out his shares, and now he owns Twitter or X, and he's making money from that, along with making money with Tesla. So he never sold his shares. So now with this whole deal going through of Paramount versus Netflix, I heard something on TikTok today, and this girl was talking about Paramount Paramount Skydance bought Paramount. So Skydance is this company, it was this little media company, and then they bought Paramount and helped Paramount turn itself around, and they own like Mission Impossible and all these other big movie films. And they were gearing up to buy Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers has been in some deep water because they have a lot of debt. But their catalog is very strong. Like they own Harry Potter, HBO, T- TNT, CNN, I think it's HGTV, the Cartoon Network, Looney Tunes, Friends, all these things, right? So they were looking to purchase that company. And what happened is Netflix came out of left field and said, we'll offer a bit more. And yeah, we only want 3/4 of the company. So everyone's like, what the world is going on here? That's too much for the company. And the company behind Paramount is Larry Ellison's son. I can't remember his name, but Larry Ellison is the owner of Oracle. Oracle is this big company, and he is, well, the third richest man in the world right now. And he put in another offer to overtake what Netflix put in because they want Warner Brothers. But based on that TikTok video that the girl's talking about, she was saying they set up a holding company, but they only set up one holding company, and one holding company for that one piece of Warner Brothers. It's the piece that Netflix doesn't want. It's the TV channels. But Ellison wants those TV channels. Why? Because in 2026, the primaries are happening, and we have now shifted to attention, where attention is the new currency. And if you have people's attention, the person that has the most attention is the person that wins, right? So they want that piece. Why? Because Larry Ellison is buddy buddy with, guess who? The president, Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is now kind of saying, you know what? Yeah, Paramount's right. Like this looks like this looks like a takeover that doesn't make sense for Netflix to have. Why? Because Netflix catalog is so big. If they get Warner Brothers, they're gonna have a large chunk of the media share, and they don't want that, because when you have one company or like two companies that control the whole market share or the control the whole market share, that's not good, because now they can control prices, and when they can control prices, guess what? If there's no competition, yo, let's jack up the price, because you can't complain, you can't run nowhere. So that's not a good thing. As a business owner or an investor, that's a great thing, because it's like, what? They can increase prices. That means that's more money for me in my pocket. Yeah, investors are going to love that. So you have to keep that in mind. Okay? So with that being said, or with all that happening now, Trump's kind of backing Larry Ellison to be like, yeah, like, that doesn't seem like it's fair. Like, Paramount should get it, not Netflix. And Netflix is like, bruh, like, we put in our thing. Like, why can't we get it? So now there's just going to be this heated battle back and forth because this is supposed to take place over 16 to 18 months. So anything can happen between that time. But because the primary is happening early next year, what I think is going to happen because of that video, they want to have that control of CNN before the primaries because now there's a lot of people that watch the news. And if they're going to be watching the news about the primaries, guess what? When a when you control that media company and now you're buddy buddy with the president, guess what happens? You're going to make sure that he's going to be at the top to win, right? So that's in your best interest to have that media shine light on him. So if he can get control CNN for whatever states that CNN is heavily watched, that's going to be a good look for him. Netflix doesn't care about that. Netflix just wants the movie. The bad thing about that is a lot of jobs are going to get hurt because Netflix is a streaming platform. They don't really like do like the whole movies things, but they said they're going to keep that division open. Also, Netflix is crushing movie theaters. Between movie theaters and even the production, Netflix is blowing these guys out the water. So Netflix is just adding to their catalog. And if they get those under their belt, it's going to be a huge thing for them. So look out for what happens between Netflix and Paramount. But I strongly think that come early next year, Netflix is going to get that Warner Brothers deal and the stock price is going to shoot up. It's currently trading around $96, $95. It was as high as I think 130 something dollars. Let's check here. Netflix stock. So the highest it got, it was $134. So that's after the stock split. So because of $134, that's almost like a 34%, or it's down 9%, but like 35% drop, which is a good time to buy. So if you're looking to buy Netflix stocks, now's the time to buy it. It's a strong company. Now, this is not me telling you to go buy it. Do your research, right? But that looks like a perfect place to buy it. And I'm going to look into getting Netflix stocks because I missed out on Netflix when it was $80. So to give you some background, maybe not even $80. With the split that happened, Netflix was about $8 to $10. Now it's $96. Could you imagine if I had the stock at $8 to $10? I'd be balling out of control right now. But things happen. You missed the boat. You can always catch the next one, right? Now, in other news, Nvidia, that's a chip making company, they've been looking to sell chips to China for a very long time. But Donald Trump, he was cock blocking it. He's like, nope, they're not getting it. They're not going to be able to be as on that same level as us with these chips. And that was hurting Nvidia for a long time. Nvidia was hitting all-time highs. And because Donald Trump was saying that, the stock price started to tank. And they're like, oh, if they can't do business with China, they're going to lose a lot of money. And it doesn't look good on them. So now I got this alert saying Donald Trump has approved the green light for them to do the lower tier of the chips. And then Nvidia's stock price has gone up. So this whole tariffs thing, China versus US, I feel like it's a whole big game behind what these guys are doing. So Nvidia literally in the aftermarkets has jumped up $4. That's 2% that it has jumped in the aftermarkets. So tomorrow I think it's gonna probably rise some more. I think next year Nvidia is gonna do some numbers based off of everything that's happening. Google has announced that they have a TPU chip that they're now using for their AI. Amazon has also said they're creating a chip for their AI. Now, Nvidia is not too worried about these guys coming in making their chips because their chips are pretty much faster than all these guys. But from a company standpoint, do you really want to be paying somebody else if you can make your own in-house? No, right? So segueing into Google, Google has just released Gemini 3. And Sam Altman of ChatGPT is pretty much shaking in his boots right now because he released a code red. Now, what does code red mean? I don't know, but it's literally all hands on deck. Everything that we were doing before, out the door. We're dropping it right now. Google dropped Gemini 3, and to be honest, yo, Gemini 3 is teeth and gums. Oh my goodness, the amount of things that you can do in Gemini 3. It's so crazy. I started using Notebook LLM or whatever they call it. I was on that thing for like 2 hours just playing around with it. I literally took a YouTube video, threw it in there. It made a podcast of two people talking about the video. I was like, yo, this is mind blowing. It made a video about the video. You can even just put text in there and it will make a video with like images. Nothing too crazy about that, but it was mind blowing to see it. You can have it make reports, infographics, and like detailed infographics. Let me actually go to the thing right now. Google Notebook LM, that's what it's called. Google Notebook LM. It's so crazy on the things that it can do within it. Also, if you're watching up to this point, thank you. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Every Monday, I'm going to be dropping a video. It's going to be more structured as we go along, but I said today, no, I have to put one up today because I am now being definite in my purpose. And if I am not definite, nothing's going to show up. So here, try Notebook. Also, if you're a student, you can get Google One or Google, what do they call it? Upgrade. Yeah, Google One for students for 1 year for free. This is not any affiliation, but yeah, you can get Google AI Pro Unlimited or AI Pro with Notebook. You can get that free for 1 year if you're a student. Okay, so if you didn't know, now you know. So some things that I created here, I can't show it, but I'm just going to talk about it today because, again, I'm just setting up. It's the first episode. And the funny thing is, I'm going to come back 5 years from now and be like, damn, I sucked. But you know what? You got to start somewhere. And I'm starting here. So yeah, you can do an audio overview. That's the podcast style. You can do a mind map. My mind map didn't work, so I'm going to try that again. Infographics, flashcards. It's crazy what you can do within this thing. Look, I'm gonna let you hear the podcast, or yeah, so I'm gonna let you hear the podcast. So here,
on a platform like Yahoo Finance, or walking them through a tool like Guru Focus.
Guru Focus. Okay, that's another piece of jargon. For a beginner, what is that, and why would you use it if they're just starting out?
Good point. Guru Focus.
do you hear that? Yeah, I know it's ghetto the way I had to do it, but laptop doesn't work too good. But that was literally a conversation that two AI people are talking about, like podcast style. So if you're somebody that likes podcast styles of things, and like say you have a book and it's just so boring, throw it in there and Google will literally make a podcast for you that you can listen to. You can do slide decks, you can do quizzes, and these things are not where it's you can't like change anything. It gives you other things on top of it. So like for example, video overview, you can do custom, you can do a classic, you can do a whiteboard, anime. It's kind of pictures. I don't really like that so much, but it's okay. But it's the first iteration of it, right? So it can only get better with time. Reports, you can make different types. You can do like a briefing doc, a study guide, a blog post. It gives you suggestions, a strategic plan, operation manual, concept explainer, productivity plan. So many different things you can do within Google. Like Google was low key doing this, like nobody even seen these guys like flying below the radar. And because of Google releasing this, they're hitting all-time highs right now within the stock market. You can make slide decks. You could either do a detailed one or a presenter slide. And you could also change what you want it to actually do within the instructions. Like there's so many different things that you could do within the new Google AI tools that are out there. Also, let's see what else. They also have Google Studio where you can literally, if you're that like techie type of person, you can go behind the scenes and create apps. I was using that as well, web apps that is. literally and they call that vibe coding. So if you've never heard of vibe coding, it's literally you just talking what you want and it designs it for you. I created a couple of apps myself for you guys, like different types of stocks to pick that are not correlated with each other because you don't want just all stocks in one category. So that's something that I created. I'm still working on it. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it for you. If somebody else wants to steal my idea, go ahead. I could care less. It's all fun and games. But notebook, they also put future notebooks, so other people put their notebooks on here, and you can go through those. And they put a bunch of different sources. Like it's just so crazy the things that are happening with AI. And going back to Sam Altman, because Google released this, like I can't remember. I think it was the guy from CrowdStrike that said like, "Why am I even wasting my time with ChatGPT anymore? I'm using Google now." I was on there for like 3 hours. The capabilities is just astronomical. Like you have the VO3 for videos, you have Nano Banana to make images, and the images are pretty good. I've used a few of them for like thumbnails on my page. Like there's so many different things that you could do within these AI platforms. Now people are saying that we're in an AI bubble. I personally don't think we're in an AI bubble because there's a lot of things that we're using that are making sense, and the bubble part is companies not making money. For example, like ChatGPT or OpenAI, they're not making money. That's one of the rarer case or the most openly known cases. There are probably many other companies that are not making money because there's a lot of foolish ideas out there. But if you're investing in companies that actually are making money, like Nvidia, because they're making the chips for everybody, then yeah, it makes sense to invest in these, right? If they weren't making money, then okay, then you can go back to the dot-com bubble or the financial housing crisis and then say, yeah. So those are the things to look out for in terms of the just like AI stocks and whatnot. But yeah, AI or the Google Gemini 3, the Google One, I think I'm gonna be canceling my Chat GPT and trying this out because I'm just fascinated with all the new things that you can do within it. And I'm gonna be trying to make some faceless videos or even just like B-roll videos within this because the it's like a one-stop shop. You don't have to go different places to go put this there, that there. You can literally do it all within the Google platform. I literally bought like more space within the Google ecosystem, and it's like, you know what? Let me just pay the extra money and just get this. Like, forget Chat GPT. I can do everything in this one spot. I just need to learn how to program it the way I program Chat GPT, but it's very helpful for me. So yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff that I wanted to talk about today. Oh yeah, Carvana. Carvana, that needs to become the number one company of the year. Carvana went from being $4 during the pandemic, all time low, to now reaching $400 a share, all time high. That is wild. Carvana stock. $447 and they jumped up today. You know why? Because they just joined the S&P 500 list. That's the top 500 companies in the US. That's an amazing turnaround. That's what you call finding a 100 bagger. You're not going to really find something like that, but this is a good book to read that talks about 100 baggers, One Up on Wall Street. Hopefully this is not the wrong way, but One Up on Wall Street, that's a very good book that you can read in terms of learning about the stock market. So the one thing that I want to leave you with for the week, you only need to pick 4 companies when investing. 4 to 10. Start with 4. You can add afterwards, but start with 4. And I call this the core 4. You're just going to pick 4 companies that you're familiar with. Something that is simple for you to understand and to explain to a third grader. If you cannot explain it to a third grader, then that's not something you want to invest in. So right here, well, this is the Samsung, but I'm using an Apple phone right now to record this podcast. If you're somebody that uses Apple products, that could be something to invest in. If you're not somebody that likes to take a lot of risk, you can invest in an index fund, so that tracks different types of markets, or you can invest in an ETF, that's an exchange traded fund, and that's a pool of stocks that are similar to each other. You just want to pick 4. So that's your homework for this week, just picking 4 stocks. Now, you're not going to go and buy them right now. You're going to do research first. And I'm going to talk about that on the next episode. So make sure you subscribe and you turn on the notifications. This episode was about 25 minutes long. I'm going to try to go at least 45 minutes to an hour. And if you're liking this content, make sure to share and subscribe. My name is Dean, the Wealth Coach, your go-to guy for building wealth. Thank you for tuning in to the Wealth Shift Podcast, episode 1. And we're going to try to go 52 weeks strong. That's 1 year. 1 year is going to turn into 10 years. And I can't wait to see what this transpires into. Have yourself an amazing day. And I'll see you next week, Monday.